Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/IDontWorkHereLady. And today we have 3 more stories ahead of us, so I hope you've already subscribed to the channel, and let's get started. Just because you recognize me doesn't mean I work here. I work at a restaurant, and these events happened on a day that I wasn't actually working, but went to a different restaurant location than the one I work at to get food. A lady came up to me and harassed me while I was waiting for my food. She's going to be L, and I'll be M. The cashier will be C. I said hello to the employees in there that I knew, ordered my food, and sat down, occasionally making some chit-chat with some of the workers, when a lady walked in for a pickup order. L to C. I have a pickup order. C. We're still making it. If you just want to sit tight for a minute, we'll have it out to you soon. L. I ordered this 30 minutes ago. I don't understand why it isn't ready. C. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said you wanted it at... I forget what time, but she was 10 minutes early for her order. This really upset her for some reason, and she turned to me and berated me. L. If you were back there helping, they probably would have finished by now. Me. Oh, I don't work here. L. Are you serious? I see you almost every time I come in here. To cashier. You should make him work. C. Yeah, he doesn't work here, ma'am. L. Every time I come in here, I wait half an hour for my food. Now I know why it takes so long. M. I'm a manager at other location, but I really don't work at this one. You probably recognize me from there. The lady is completely convinced we are bullcrapping her at this point and is furious that both the cashier and I would lie about me not working there instead of helping make her order. I would also like to add I'm wearing nothing remotely similar to the work uniform. L. Cancel my order. I could have gone down the street by now and had food 10 minutes ago. Everyone stops making the order and just tosses it in the trash after she leaves since everything is MTO. Later, lady made a formal complaint to corporate, which made its way back to that store, which the owner usually forwards to all of the other restaurant managers. In the complaint, she basically said half of the employees there pretended they didn't work there and they lied to me about it, causing her to wait an hour for her order and being forced to cancel it. The whole exchange took place over 5 minutes. The owner had a laugh at this when we explained it to him, and she never got crap despite asking for a bunch of free food in compensation. I played as a manager to help a cashier. So I'm 24, 22 at the time, and I worked as a station agent in a French airport. Those are the people in suits that check you and your luggage in and even board you or deboard you from planes. I worked with a French company for 8 months during the summer of 2018. Working there was the best. Great hours, big pay, people are a-holes, but honestly not so bad once you learn how to deal with them properly. My favorite part of the job was the hours, either from 4 a.m. to 2 p.m. or from 1 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. No weekends, no public holidays. For most people, that's probably bad, but for me, it was paradise. We'd get days off by cycle, and having days off in the middle of the week rocks. Go get groceries with almost nobody in the store, all governmental agencies are open, and less people all around because they're working. A paradise. Now for the 5 first months there. I would always come dressed in a suit, full suit, even in the middle of summer with a tie and everything. So I'd go home or stop to shop in the suit as well. After a while, I got tired and started to change clothes arriving and leaving from work. The story, of course, happened when I was still coming after leaving from work in a full suit. It was about 3 months after I started. By then, wearing the suit became natural. No more that weird, uncomfortable feeling while wearing it. It became normal. Even more, I got used to changing my attitude while wearing it, like my posture, and people even in the streets would think that I was some sort of successful person because I was wearing a suit. I also got used to noticing people needing help, problematic customers and all that. I leave work at 3 or 4 p.m. Had to stay longer to cover for someone. Then I head to the store to bring back a faulty piece of electronic equipment that I bought there. I walk to the store wearing my suit and carrying the thing in a bag. I head toward customer service and immediately notice a man, hand on the counter, leaning toward the cashier. Let's call her Julie. And all her colleagues are looking tense, eyeing the guy. I shrug. Not my problem. Not paid to deal with that one. So I turn to sit and notice that all the seats are taken. So I stay up and pull out my phone. Meanwhile, this guy starts to speak louder and louder. From what I got, the issue was that he wanted to use the store card of his wife, but the store policy is that you can't use the card of another customer, even if they're your relative, as the card can be used to make credit. The guy gets more and more heated up and starts calling around for other people to join. That immediately ticks me off. When I was in training to become a station agent, we learned of different types of customers. I won't go into detail, but this guy is what we call a red customer, someone that will rally others to help them get what they want. I see Julie on the verge of tears and try to think of something to do while the guy starts throwing slurs at her. I finally notice a paper hanging near the counter and take action. I drop my bag, adjust my tie, take my best manager face, and walk to the guy. As soon as he notices me, he smirks and turns to me. "You're the manager?" To which I reply, "Yes." While looking at both him and the cashier as if to judge the situation, Julie turns white. He points at her and says, "This employee is discriminating against me. I want to use a discount on my wife's store card. I have her ID. There's no reason that..." I then take a step forward. I'm not tall, and this guy is taller than me. But he still stops when I get into his face. Without a word, I point at the paper I saw earlier. It's a notice saying that any kind of harassment or insult towards an employee will result in a lawsuit and fine for the customer. It's his time to turn white, or whiter. He opens his mouth, but I'm faster. "She's right. If you want to use that card, you need your wife to be here. Now, I have to ask you to leave or I'll call security. But first, you will apologize. You've been beyond insulting to her." A security guard that's always near steps closer. He turns to the woman, apologizes in a weak voice, and quickly walks off. I walk to Julie and ask her if she's okay. She thanks me profusely. Then another worker comes to me and asks what to do with a product returned by another client. I giggle and pull my airport ID, simply stating, "Sorry, I don't work here." I just can't stand people like this. I was allowed to pass first, got a refund, and smiles from everyone on the team. Good day. I know your officer. So, back when I was a brand new sergeant, read mid-level supervisor, I was brought along to a large combined arms exercise in the desert. My job was to set up the network connectivity and computer assets for the entire flying aircraft section of the exercise. We brought servers, laptops, network devices, miles of Ethernet cable, etc. I was used to having to do everything from scratch with little advance notice and constantly changing requirements. #bureaucracy. Fortunately, this exercise was supported by its own permanent network section of personnel. When we showed up, they were amazingly helpful. They had the entire scheme of the networks already set up, configs, and an answer to almost every question. As a new sergeant, this was a lifesaver and I learned tons. Now we had the network running smoothly with almost no tickets to fix on a daily basis. Freaking miracle. Well, until it wasn't. After many hours of playing cards with my guys, including higher supervisors and my officer in charge, we had multiple network devices fail. It was extremely hot. They simply couldn't keep up. Quickly, we came up with a solution that involved running non-standard, read janky as hell, cables and using the only air-conditioned building in the compound. This solved the network problem in only an hour or so, but left cables being suspended from makeshift poles about 15 feet up. If you're asking why we didn't use the air-conditioned building before, it's because it wasn't ours to use at first, and we asked permission from the owners. Enter Friendly User Kid, FUK. Up until now was the guy, and the same rank as me, a sergeant, to call for everything. Never had a bad attitude, always had the answer, except today. He barges into our trailer while we're all sitting around in t-shirts and shorts, because it's like 1,000,000 degrees, and begins to demand the dumb butt who strung bullcrap cables all over his compound. I stand up to face him and begin to explain the problem and how we came to the solution. He's having none of it. So you just figured, F it? You'll make your own telephone poles regardless of standards and without consulting anyone and hope nobody notices that effing garbage? I tried to explain that our officer in charge helped with the solution to include holding up the poles while we did our work. Nope, doesn't want to hear that either. I already talked to your captain. He's the reason I'm even here. He called blaming us and I had to tell him you dumb butts were responsible. Seems his lack of leadership is effing everyone over today. And then, as the FUK said, I swear the temperature in that godforsaken trailer dropped 30 degrees in seconds. I turned to the rest of the people at the table playing cards, all of them staring blankly except one. This man was getting up now and grabbing his little notebook. The notebook, like the jacket on the back of his chair, he just stood up from had 2 silver bars, including a captain's rank, a rank far higher than a sergeant. My captain, the OIC, with a smirk, now walks slowly over to the FUK and stands tall in front of him. "So, Sergeant, you talked to our captain, huh?" It's funny, because my cell phone doesn't get service for crap out here, and since this poker table doesn't seem to have a landline, I'm wondering when exactly we had that conversation. But I do know one thing. My sergeant, pointing to me, has the decency to use tact and honesty when he encounters a problem, something your leadership is sorely lacking. The FUK begins to stumble over his own mouth as he tries to apologize, but our OIC was having none of it either. He put his arm around the FUK and walked him outside into the blazing heat, waiting only long enough for the door to shut behind him before tearing into the idiot with every expletive-laden insult we could only dream of. The telephone poles stayed up, the network ran smoothly, and even though we didn't think it was possible, the FUK was even friendly from that point forward. Well, thank you all for watching the video to the end, and I'll see you in the next one.